Hello everyone and welcome to my Bold and Beautiful Today channel. Hayes is rescued from Luna by Sheila. Sheila Carter gave up her terrible villainous ways and started a new life. However, that was insufficient to persuade Steffy Forrester to give her another chance. To demonstrate that she is trustworthy around her grandson, will Sheila need to literally save Hayes from a horrifying death? Here are some spoilers for what will happen next on Bold and Beautiful. Luna Nozawa is ready to strike. It appears that her target has changed. Steffy's son will be taken away by Luna if she takes away her father. After threatening to shoot her father's wife, Luna started chasing Hayes and hiding in the dark. It appears that Luna will take Hayes right out from under their eyes as everyone is running around and attempting to keep Steffy safe. Grandma Sheila will have the ideal chance to save the day and demonstrate her transformation if Luna attempts to abduct Dr. Finn and Queen Steffy's son. She might even be able to get some visits with Finn and Hayes under supervision. But in order to remain a part of Hayes and Finn's lives, is she prepared to put Luna Nozawa under the bus? Sheila has to make a decision. It's obvious that Sheila Carter has some concern for her troublesome granddaughter Luna. In an attempt to alert Finn and Poppy Nozawa about Luna, Sheila even pleaded with her granddaughter to leave town before she was sent back to prison. However, Luna is a young lady who is in a lot of problems. If Sheila decided to go with Hayes instead of Luna, who could blame her? If her adorable grandchild doesn't get his way, at least she won't have to worry about him poisoning her or locking her in a cage. Do you believe that Hayes will be rescued from Luna by Sheila? Sheila Carter stood at the edge of the cliffside overlooking the Pacific waves crashing violently below, the wind whipping through her long, dark hair as her heart thundered in her chest. It had been months since she had turned over a new leaf, shed the persona of the devious, dangerous villainess everyone in Los Angeles feared. The once hardened woman had begun the painful process of redemption, not for herself, but for the chance to be part of her grandson Hayes Finnegan's life. The path to forgiveness was steep, especially when Steffy Forrester, the queen of the Cliff House herself, refused to believe even for a second that Sheila was capable of change. Sheila had tried everything. Therapy. Charity work. She'd even kept her distance from the Forresters, hoping time would soften their judgment. It hadn't. No matter how many steps she took forward, Steffy dragged her reputation 10 paces back. Finn was conflicted, torn between loyalty to his wife and a curiosity about the woman who birthed him, his biological mother. But now, as darkness encroached and danger loomed from an unexpected direction, Sheila's moment of truth was about to arrive. Luna Nozawa had always been a mystery. The beautiful young woman with a troubled past had walked into their lives with charm and grace, capturing R.J. Forrester's heart and drawing sympathy from even Ridge and Brooke. But beneath the soft smiles and uncertain identity was a churning sea of instability, fed by secrets kept far too long by her mother, Poppy. The revelation that Bill Spencer might be her father had cracked her foundation, but what truly shattered her was Steffy's interference. When Steffy threatened to use her power to keep Luna away from her newfound family, particularly from Hayes and Finn, it lit a fire in Luna no one could have anticipated. Her obsession shifted, her vision narrowed. If Steffy could destroy her dreams of a family, then Luna would destroy Steffy's. And what better way to do that than to take away the one thing Steffy cherished most, her son. While the Forresters and Spencers buzzed with the chaos of Bill's paternity bombshell, no one noticed Luna's transformation. She wasn't herself anymore. Her once sweet demeanor turned cold. She began appearing in strange places, outside the Cliff House at odd hours, outside Hayes daycare, even hovering near Finn's hospital office, silent and still like a shadow with eyes. Steffy, consumed with her usual work at Forrester Creations, dismissed the signs as paranoia. Finn tried to speak with Luna, hoping to calm her down, but she was evasive, always smiling too much or crying for no reason. The only person who saw through the facade was Sheila. The older woman had lived her life dancing with madness, and she recognized the signs all too well. Sheila confronted Luna one moonlit night outside the hospital parking lot. "I know what you're thinking," Sheila whispered. "I see it in your eyes. The pain. The revenge. I've been where you are." Luna snapped, her eyes glistening with tears. You don't know anything about me, she shrieked, but Sheila persisted. I know you're about to make a mistake that will ruin everything. Walk away now, before you can't turn back. But Luna didn't listen. She vanished into the night, and Sheila was left standing with a gnawing fear in her chest. Something terrible was coming. And then, it happened. It was a quiet afternoon when the unthinkable unfolded. Finn had gone to pick up some medication for Hayes, and Steffi was running late from a photo shoot. Amelia, the usual nanny, had taken Hayes to the park, just a few minutes from the Cliff House, when Luna made her move. Dressed in a disguise, with a hat pulled low over her eyes and a fake name tag reading Therese pinned to her sweater, Luna approached the playground with calculated precision. She offered Amelia a fabricated story, a last-minute request from Steffi to pick Hayes up and bring him home. And just like that, Hayes was gone. The city launched into panic mode. Finn was frantic, searching every corner of the hospital. Steffi broke down in tears, unable to comprehend how her perfect life was unraveling. Ridge and Brooke offered support, but no one had answers. No one, except Sheila. She had seen Luna lingering by the cliff earlier that morning. Her gut screamed that Hayes was in danger, not just missing, but at risk of a far darker fate. Luna wasn't thinking clearly. She was lost, consumed by rage and grief. Sheila had to act fast. Using contacts from her less-than-legal past, Sheila tracked Luna to an abandoned beachside cottage north of Malibu, a place Sheila herself had once hidden in after faking her death. The irony wasn't lost on her. Inside, she found Luna rocking Hayes in her arms, singing softly, eerily calm. The boy was unharmed, but confused. "This isn't your mommy," he said quietly, looking up at Luna. Luna only stared at him blankly. "Luna," Sheila called softly from the doorway, "give him to me." "You don't want to do this." "I just wanted to hold him," Luna said in a broken whisper. "I wanted to see what it felt like to be a mother, to have a family." "You still can," Sheila said gently, stepping closer. "But not like this. You're not a monster. You're just hurting. Let me help you." Luna's eyes brimmed with tears. "You're one to talk," she spat. "You killed people. You ruined lives. And now they treat you like you matter. But me? They all treat me like I'm a mistake." Sheila didn't deny it. "I was a monster. I hurt people. I lost everything because of it. But this is your moment, Luna. You can stop. You can still choose the right path." The words pierced Luna's fog of rage, and for a moment, she hesitated. Then came the sirens in the distance. Someone had tipped off the police. "No, no, no!" Luna screamed. "They're going to take me away. I'll never see RJ again. I'll never have a family." She grabbed Hayes tighter, and Sheila moved like lightning. "Luna, look at me," she shouted. "Do not make me choose between you and him. Because if you push me, I will protect him. I will throw you under the bus to save this boy. I will testify, I will turn you in, I will do whatever it takes. Don't make me your enemy too." That was the breaking point. Luna collapsed to the ground, sobbing. Sheila rushed forward, scooped Hayes into her arms, and held him tightly. She turned to Luna. "You need help. And if you go quietly, I'll make sure you get it. But this is where it ends." The police arrived minutes later. Luna didn't resist. She was arrested peacefully, though broken, mumbling apologies that echoed into the ocean breeze. Sheila, meanwhile, held Hayes close and walked out of that cottage not just as a grandmother, but as a savior. Back at the Cliff House, Steffi was speechless when she saw Sheila return with Hayes safe in her arms. Finn rushed forward, enveloping his son in a fierce embrace. Sheila didn't ask for thanks. She didn't expect forgiveness. But Steffi, for the first time in years, paused before condemning her. She saw the look in Hayes' eyes, the calm, the trust. She saw that Sheila hadn't manipulated the situation. She hadn't used it for power or leverage. She had done the right thing. Later that week, Sheila sat alone at the hospital waiting room, sipping bad coffee when Finn approached. "You saved my son," he said simply. "I can't ignore that." "I didn't do it for recognition," Sheila replied. "I did it because I love him. Because I want to be someone he's proud of." "Someone you're proud of?" Finn nodded slowly. "We'll talk. We'll figure something out." Even Steffi, grudgingly, agreed to allow supervised visits, much to Ridge and Brooke's horror. But the tide had shifted. Sheila Carter, the former nightmare of LA, had done what no one believed possible. She had redeemed herself, not with empty words or fake tears, but through sacrifice, courage, and the ultimate act of love. She had chosen Hayes over Luna. Family over the past. And that decision changed everything. Sheila's heart pounded as she sped down the rain-slicked street, the windshield wipers struggling to keep pace with the downpour, her trembling fingers wrapped tightly around the steering wheel, knuckles pale and joints stiff, while her thoughts roared louder than the storm outside. Hayes, her grandson, her sweet, curious, innocent Hayes, was in danger, and every second that passed was one too long, too late, too far from the truth she had refused to believe until it was nearly too late. Luna. The woman she had once trusted, the woman who had ingratiated herself into their lives with honey-sweet words and warm, careful smiles, had revealed herself to be something darker, colder, a woman whose eyes now burned with obsession and control, whose whispered lullabies to Hayes were not lullabies at all but subtle manipulations, threading fear into affection, bending his trust like soft wire. And Sheila cursed herself for not seeing it sooner, not seeing through the cracks in Luna's calm facade, the way she always seemed to hover just a second too long, the way Hayes had started saying things that sounded rehearsed, robotic, not like a 4-year-old spontaneous joy but like something learned, recited, perhaps forced. Sheila had dismissed it as transitional behavior, the natural tension of a child caught between homes after her son's sudden passing and her daughter-in-law's quiet collapse into grief. But the phone call that morning changed everything, the way Hayes whispered "Nana," with a tremble that shattered her, then was abruptly cut off as Luna's voice came on, brittle and strained, claiming he was just playing and had accidentally dialed. But Sheila had known something wasn't right, and now, tires skidding around the corner of Luna's apartment complex, a concrete hive cloaked in ivy and shadows, she shoved the car into park and ran, ignoring the cold needles of rain on her back, her boots splashing through puddles as she threw herself up the front steps. Heart in her throat, lungs burning, every instinct screaming, she pounded on the door, and when there was no answer, she tried the knob. It was locked, of course, but she remembered Luna's absurd habit of leaving a spare key behind the potted aloe on the windowsill for deliveries, and blessed that carelessness, because within moments she was inside, breath shallow in the stale, lavender-scented air of Luna's apartment, too quiet, too still, and she moved through it like a ghost, calling Hayes' name. Softly at first, then louder, panic rising when there was no answer, until a soft sob broke the silence and led her to the back room, the nursery Luna had set up, not out of kindness, Sheila now knew, but out of some dark fantasy of motherhood and control. And there he was, Hayes, sitting on the edge of a child-sized bed, clutching his stuffed dog to his chest, tears streaking his face, and Sheila rushed forward to grab him, but froze when she heard Luna's voice behind her, low and flat and strange, saying, "You shouldn't be here, Sheila," and turning slowly, she faced her, Luna standing in the doorway, pale and trembling, one hand behind her back, eyes wild, and Sheila realized then how far gone she was, how deep into the delusion Luna had sunk, believing perhaps that Hayes was hers now, that his real family had failed him, and she alone could fix it, raise him right, keep him safe from a world she had grown to hate. And Sheila stepped in front of Hayes instinctively, shielding him with her body, voice calm but firm as she said, "It's over, Luna. He's coming home with me," and Luna laughed, sharp and bitter, a sound that cracked something in Sheila's chest, and suddenly Luna lunged, but not fast enough. Sheila was ready, decades of maternal instinct igniting like dry kindling, and she pushed Luna back, just hard enough to knock her off balance, her hand catching Luna's wrist and forcing whatever was in her hand, a pair of keys, thank God, not a weapon, away from her. And the struggle lasted seconds but felt eternal, until Luna finally slumped, sobbing, whispering things that made no sense, and Sheila held her breath, not out of fear but exhaustion, gathering Hayes in her arms and whispering soft reassurances as she stepped past Luna, calling 911 as soon as they were outside, the police arriving minutes later, finding Luna curled on the carpet in a storm of tears and denial, and later, once Hayes was safe at home, asleep in the bed Sheila had made up just for him, his fingers still wrapped around that stuffed dog, she sat on the edge of the bed and wept, the adrenaline gone, the weight of what could have been settling over her like an ocean, but she knew one thing with unshakable certainty, she had gotten there in time, she had saved him, and no matter what came next, she would never let anyone take him from her again. Luna plans her next step after Brooke reacts to Nick's lip lock. As Luna Nozawa plans her next move, Brooke Logan will respond to Nick Marone's lip lock. Brooke will have an opportunity to react shortly because Nick just kissed her at Forrester Creations. Given that Brooke has been feeling so rejected by Ridge Forrester lately, the kiss obviously left her speechless and heartbroken. Brooke deserves so much more, according to Nick, and now that he's made out with her, he's given her a glimpse of what life may be like with him. Nick will give Brooke something to ponder as he continues to turn on the romance and charm on Tuesday's show. The prospect of a reunion with Nick will be very alluring, even though Brooke was previously all for a reunion with Ridge. Regarding Taylor Hayes, she will exert a little more pressure and attempt to get some candor from Ridge. Taylor would push more and question whether that's truly all there was to it, even though Ridge reassured her that the big stuff was just about work. No matter how much Ridge says he's dedicated to Taylor, he will always be pulled back to Brooke, even if he provides more assurance. Luna will keep watching Hayes Finnegan from outside the beach home in the meantime. By midweek, B&B fans may anticipate that Luna will have planned her next move, which will be giving Hayes a gift. Although Steffi Forrester isn't aware of it yet, Luna is about to start causing more trouble. Luna will carry out a plan that jeopardizes their wonderful existence together, even though John Finnegan has promised to defend his family. Stay in for updates on all the terrifying news that awaits Hayes, Steffi, and anybody else involved in this, as it appears like Luna has a plan to kidnap. At Forrester Creations, the air seemed to freeze in time as Brooke Logan stood rooted in place, lips tingling, heart pounding from the unexpected kiss that Nick Marone had just boldly delivered, a kiss that seemed to drag her out of the lonely place she'd been stranded in for weeks. For far too long, she'd been feeling like an afterthought in Ridge Forrester's life, a chapter he'd reread when convenient, only to put down once something, or someone, more pressing caught his attention. But now, Nick, with his stormy blue eyes and steady hand on her arm, had disrupted all that, jolting Brooke back into the kind of emotional whirlwind she'd almost forgotten existed. It wasn't just a kiss, it was a message. Nick wasn't just revisiting a memory or rekindling an old flame, he was offering her a future, a chance to stop waiting around for Ridge to make up his mind. The memory of Nick's lips on hers buzzed in her mind as he gently stepped back, eyes locked onto hers, silently daring her to consider what could be if she let go of the past and took a leap with him instead. Meanwhile, Luna Nozawa lingered outside the beach house like a shadow that had come to life, observing quietly, calculating with intensity as Hayes Finnegan played blissfully unaware inside. Luna's expression shifted between sadness and grim determination as she clutched a small wrapped package in her hands, the supposed gift for Hayes, a symbol of her twisted sense of justice, or perhaps a decoy for something darker she had brewing beneath the surface. Luna had watched Steffi Forrester live a charmed life for far too long in her eyes, reaping the benefits of family power and marital bliss with John Finnegan, while Luna herself simmered in resentment and wounded pride. Back at Forrester, Brooke tried to shake the feeling of being swept off her feet, attempting to regain composure, but Nick, ever the charmer, pressed forward with an invitation, maybe lunch, maybe a walk down memory lane, maybe just time to talk. It wasn't lost on Brooke how different Nick's attention felt compared to Ridge's increasingly fragmented presence. Ridge, of course, was off dealing with Taylor Hayes, who wasn't about to be placated by vague reassurances anymore. Taylor had seen the way Ridge lit up when Brooke entered a room, and no matter how many times he insisted that the recent showstopper drama was purely professional, she knew better. She could see the doubt creeping into Ridge's eyes even as he denied any lingering feelings for Brooke, and that doubt, that hesitation, was enough to confirm what her gut had been screaming for weeks, that Brooke was still in his heart, and always would be. As Taylor probed for the truth, Ridge fumbled for words, caught between the past and the present, the woman who knew his soul and the woman who always stirred his heart. Meanwhile, Luna finally made her move, approaching the beach house under the guise of a harmless visitor. She rang the bell with feigned calm, but inside her mind raced with plans, contingencies, and what-ifs. When the door opened and Hayes peeked out, innocent and curious, Luna smiled with the kind of warmth that made her look trustworthy even as her intentions wavered. She handed him the gift, a toy, a book, something Steffi would never suspect, but the real plan was far more sinister. Luna had been practicing her lines, preparing the moment when she'd whisk Hayes away, convinced that she could do better by him than the world he was growing up in. Back in the city, Brooke confided in Katie Logan about the kiss, her sister gasping with surprise and concern. "Nick?" Katie repeated, eyes wide. "As in Nick?" Brooke nodded, uncertain but excited in a way she hadn't been in a long time. "It just happened," she murmured, voice barely audible. Katie wasn't sure whether to cheer her on or warn her off, but one thing was clear, this kiss wasn't just a one-off, it had cracked open a door to a possible rekindling, a different path that Brooke had never fully closed. As Ridge came home late again, Taylor's suspicions hardened. She knew she had to confront Brooke directly, woman to woman, before this triangle spun further out of control. As the week unfolded, Luna's scheme took shape with chilling precision. She waited for her opportunity, watched the rhythms of the house, timed the moments when Steffi's attention was elsewhere. What she didn't count on was the camera in the nursery that Finn had recently installed after Hayes had a bad fall, nor the sharp instinct of a mother who knew when something wasn't quite right. Steffi, reviewing the footage later that day, froze at the sight of Luna lurking outside the window, her blood running cold. Instantly, she called Finn, who dropped everything to race home, panic coursing through his veins. "She was here," Steffi whispered, pointing at the screen. She was watching him. Finn felt the full weight of his earlier promise, to keep his family safe, crashing down on him. "We need to stop her," he said, voice dark with resolve. At Forrester, the fallout of Nick's kiss reached further than Brooke had expected. Ridge learned about it through the grapevine, possibly from Katie, possibly from someone at the office who had seen the lingering looks between Brooke and Nick. His reaction was immediate: jealousy, confusion, and rage. Though he was still technically with Taylor, something about the thought of Brooke moving on sent him spiraling. He confronted her in the office, voice taut, eyes burning. "Is this really what you want?" he asked, gesturing wildly. "Nick?" Brooke met his gaze, steadier than he expected. "Maybe," she replied. "At least he knows what he wants." That line echoed in Ridge's mind long after he left the room, haunted by the possibility that this time, he might have really lost her. Luna, meanwhile, launched her plan, only to have it fall apart when Finn caught her trying to lure Hayes toward her car with a bag of toys and promises. He shouted her name, startling Hayes, who ran to his father. Luna froze, eyes wide, caught in the act. "You don't understand," she screamed, but Finn had already dialed the police, cradling Hayes with one arm while keeping Luna in sight. Steffi arrived moments later, scooping her son into her arms, glaring at Luna with fury. "Stay away from my family," she hissed, as sirens approached in the distance. Brooke, in the days following, found herself drawn further into Nick's orbit. He made her laugh, made her feel wanted, and above all, made her feel like the center of someone's world, something Ridge hadn't done in a long time. Yet as she sat at Il Giardino across from Nick, fingers intertwined with his, she couldn't shake the thought of Ridge, of the decades they'd shared, the lives they'd built and broken and rebuilt. Could she really walk away from all that? Did she want to? Taylor, watching from afar, knew the answer already. Brooke had always been Ridge's weakness, just as Ridge had always been Brooke's. Luna, taken into custody but ranting about justice and truth, claimed she was trying to rescue Hayes from the lies, but no one quite understood what she meant. Was it delusion, revenge, or something even darker? A forensic psychologist would eventually be brought in to evaluate her, and what they found in Luna's journals, scribbled plans, twisted justifications, would leave even the detectives shaken. As all this unfolded, Brooke stood at a crossroads, the kiss from Nick a signpost pointing in a direction she never thought she'd take again. Ridge's jealousy was a flickering flame, but could she really go back to the man who always wavered, who never stayed? And what about Nick, bold, devoted, and offering her a clean slate? Choices loomed for all of them, Brooke, Ridge, Taylor, Luna, and with every breath, every decision, the tapestry of their lives grew more tangled. One kiss had set it all in motion, and now nothing would ever be the same.